Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Seekers session. I hope you're having a great weekend and a happy new year to you. And let's say hello to our co-host, Jay Copley. How are you, Jay?
Hello, Mark. Doing good. It's good to see you.
Welcome. Happy New Year. Thank you. So for those of you who are new to the Seekers Forum, and we have quite a few new people, I'm happy to say, let me give you a sense of what to expect from today's meeting. First, I'm going to give you a 20-minute talk during which there will be an image on the screen so that you can just relax, close your eyes, take in the talk. Don't worry about taking notes or anything like that. You'll be getting a replay tomorrow. So if there are details that you want to note down, you'll be able to do that after the fact. During the talk, just allow yourself to listen as fully as possible. Then we're going to do a 20-minute writing exercise together connected to this month's topic on originality and character. 10 minutes into the 20 minutes, Jay is going to open up breakout rooms. So if you would like to join a breakout room during the writing, you're more than welcome to do that 10 minutes in. Otherwise, just keep on writing for the full 20. And then we will come back together and we'll have conversation and questions and answers and comments. So Jay, why don't we just pull up the lovely image and we'll get right to it. So this month we are looking at the spiritual teaching of originality and self-reliance, as it's called, which is largely a misunderstood philosophical idea that has very deep roots in the ancient world. Self-reliance, as it was originally put forth by sages from the Buddha to the Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius, later to Michel de Montaigne and Ralph Waldo Emerson, is not a path of arrogant individualism. Self-reliance isn't a me-first philosophy of superiority that overlooks how interdependent we are. Instead, self-reliance is a profound spiritual practice that teaches us to trust our interior guidance, the still small voice within us that's always present and always wise when we quiet down enough to hear it. This voice, this still small voice within, belongs to the true self, capital S. It's the voice of your wisdom nature, and it speaks to you from the transcendental dimension, the unity consciousness that we all share. This spiritual reservoir is the source of our strength as human beings. As Ralph Waldo Emerson, the father of American transcendentalism, put it, self-reliance is reliance on God. Self-reliance is reliance on God. In order for self-reliance to be genuine, in other words, there needs to be acknowledgement of the larger self behind the little me, and not be fooled into believing that our worldly personalities are the totality of who we are. When we forget about our spiritual identity, we slip into ignorance, meaning that we ignore our true transcendental nature. And that's how most of us live most of the time, in a state of mistaken identity. And it robs us of wisdom, of vitality, and of a higher perspective. We lose access to our own essential power. As Emerson reminds us, there is nothing so weak as an egotist. There's nothing so weak as an egotist. The illusion that we are primarily individual ego personalities moving through the world, separated from all other ego personalities, is the source of our alienation and a great deal of our suffering. Of course, it's necessary to have a healthy working ego, but that's very different from being an egotist. An individual with a healthy ego is humble, self-aware, confident about her strengths, and also eminently aware of her own limitations, often with a strong sense of humor. The person with a healthy ego appreciates her own uniqueness without losing sight of her universality. As the spiritual allegory goes, you can picture God as a kind of goldsmith, and everything in creation is made of nothing but gold. So you can appreciate the different forms, redwood trees and elephants and human beings in all of our wonderful particularity, without forgetting that they are nothing but gold when melted down by nature and the passing of time. And that brings us to the subject of character and how it impacts our lives. The word character comes from the Greek term for etching or engraving. Character refers to that part of a person that is concerned with ethics, morals, social attitudes, and behaviors. Character refers to your spiritual backbone, you could say, which is either strengthened or weakened with each choice that you make. Psychologists who study character explain that it develops in response to our environmental challenges. Character develops in response to environmental challenges. So the quality of your character stems from how you meet the particular challenges in your life with your own particular temperament. If all of life is a conversation, as the poet David Whyte likes to say, an interaction among diverse elements, then character is formed from that conversation. Character comes from how we interact with the world. Is our conversation rough or smooth? Is it embracing or rejecting? Is it lucid or is it carried out under duress? For example, kids who are born into traumatic circumstances, children who are abused or lost or abandoned, who get thrown against the rocks of life when they can barely swim. These kinds of children develop particular muscles, particular coping strategies, and character traits that will very likely be absent in children who come from more privileged circumstances. Character is formed from these earliest bruisings, and your character, for better or worse, influences the choices that you make in your life. But character isn't a fixed entity, and this is very important. Character is always changing. And that's what distinguishes it from personality. Personality traits tend to be more stable. You're either introverted or extroverted. You're either highly strung or laconic, conscientious or sloppy. Of course, these qualities can be improved, but there really is a limit to how much you can alter your basic personality. Character, on the other hand, is a work in progress. It evolves on the basis of how you live. Character can be strengthened or weakened through intention and deliberate attention to becoming the person you want to be. So, how you meet your circumstances is what counts. And necessity, hardship, often instigates character growth in powerful ways, as most of us know. For example, my partner David has become his elderly mother's primary caregiver. So in the course of a year, as her health has deteriorated, she has demanded more and more of his time as well as his patience. And I have watched his character grow in response to this challenge, even though the process has been far from easy. Being with David during this time has shown me that character accumulates through grit, through difficulty, through what Buddhists call practicing against the grain of our habits, our reactivity, and our selfishness. So whenever David's mom pushes him to the limits and he wants to leave her house or slam down the phone or stop making the 5-hour drive twice a month to her house, but he doesn't, every time he doesn't give up, I can see his character doing push-ups in the other room and how much stronger he's becoming. As Thomas Merton, the great monk and author, said, prayer and love are learned in the hour when prayer becomes impossible and the heart has turned to stone. Prayer and love are learned in the hour when prayer becomes impossible and the heart has turned to stone. That's when character counts. When you focus on your positive character traits, it strengthens your ethical musculature, you could say. It allows you to move more wisely and joyfully and effectively through the world in spite of hardship and opposition. By building patience, gratitude, courage, truthfulness, beauty, honesty, fortitude, forbearance, you become happier. And it also helps you to be more original. A robust spiritual foundation allows you to appreciate your own originality, your quirks, your uniqueness, the particular colors of your personality, the things that make you you, without falling into egotism. You learn that it's possible to be your complete, eccentric, oddball self without imagining for a second that you're separate from other oddball selves, that you're somehow set apart or defined, alienated by your own personality. When you're aware of sharing your larger self with all other individuals, you're no longer a devotee of the cult of me. You're no longer a worshiper of the little me story, entranced and bound up by your own dramas. Instead, you're able to maintain the transcendental perspective, to notice your thoughts and feelings, gain insight into what you see, and then use that insight to build character and to make positive choices in your life. So, why is there power in originality? It's an interesting question, but it's a bit like asking a rose why its particular shape makes it beautiful. Right? Originality and power are so completely entwined with one another. By manifesting our own uniqueness in the world, we fulfill our mission as human beings. As Emerson says, that which each man can do best, none but his maker can teach him. Our spontaneous action is always the best. Let me repeat that. That which each man can do best, none but his maker can teach him. Our spontaneous action is always the best. So the particular charge that you come into your life with is the portion of God that you've been given to play with. Your job is to play with as much courage, imagination, determination, rawness, and immediacy as possible. And that is the original meaning of genius. Right? Genius is to listen to what is yours alone and to trust that it is worth expressing. As I've said before, Buckminster Fuller put it this way: everyone is born a genius, but the process of living de-geniuses us. So we're de-geniused, where our originality is taken away from us in the process of becoming so-called adults. What spiritual life does is helps you to reignite your genius. It reconnects you to your own primal self. And when you've replugged into this creative center, you do experience a new kind of vitality and aliveness. I often cite Martha Graham, the late great choreographer, as one of the premier arbiters of originality in our time. And nobody said it better than Martha Graham when it came to trusting this thing that's unique within us. As she put it, there is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there is only one of you in all time. And that's why that expression is unique. If you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how it compares with other expressions. It's your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open, unquote. Isn't that beautiful? So spiritual life is all about opening, keeping the channel open and ripening, exposing yourself to the elements. But such exposure can be demanding, and that's where character comes in. What your character does is supports your originality by standing up for what is yours. Character says, hands off my destiny. These are my choices. This is how I choose to live. I will agree to do no harm, but I won't give away my freedom to be who I am. When someone like Lady Gaga sings Born This Way, or a trailblazer like Lizzo breaks down boundaries of color and sexuality and body image, it's character that gives them their strength. And individuals who are endowed with particularly strong character elevate us precisely because they remind us of what's possible. They mirror back to us how it looks to be free. So ask yourself, do you stick up for your own originality? Do you trust your uniqueness? Do you allow yourself to stand apart, follow your muse, take risks, allow yourself to grow? Or do you shrink to fit? Do you dim your light? Do you fear your power? And do you tailor yourself to fit in with others? Do you give your power away through imitation and try not to stand out? Or do you speak with your own original voice and appreciate what you have to say? This is a critical question for all of us to ask when it comes to looking at our own character and what self-reliance means. Because when we get out of our own way, it's extraordinary how interesting each of us actually is. As Emerson put it, if men would avoid that general language and general manner in which they strive to hide all that is peculiar, and would say only what was uppermost in their minds after their individual manner, every man would be interesting. Isn't that great? Let me repeat that. If men, meaning people, would avoid that general language and general manner in which they strive to hide all that is peculiar, and would say only what was uppermost in their minds after their own individual manner, every man would be interesting. So, by challenging what's original in you, you thrive. The closer you come to that inner prompting, the clearer and more powerful your voice becomes. And that, of course, is what awakening is all about. So, Jay, why don't we pull up the card and get to doing some writing? Here we go. So, folks, I'd like you now, please, to take 20 minutes to write about whether you allow yourself to be original, unique, and particular to your heart's content. Or do you shrink to fit, tone yourself down, and mute your voice so as not to be heard? How original do you allow yourself to be, or not, and why? We'll take 20 minutes to do that. 10 minutes in, Jay will open up the breakout rooms if you'd like to join a group. Otherwise, just keep on writing. And don't worry about keeping the time. I will do that for you. 20 minutes, please.